A week after Ginimbi, Genius Kadungure passed on in a road crash that claimed three other lives of his friends, Ginimbi has been buried. Thousands of people, among them local and international dignitaries, descended on Dombo Shower to bid farewell to the Harare businessman and socialite Ginimbi. His three friends, Michel Amuli, Limumba Karim from Malawi, and Alicia Adams from Mozambique, died in the accident when the Rolls Royce exploded after the crash. There has been a lot of talk on social media as to what was the source of Ginimbi's wealth. Of course, a number of media houses have been looking for information to find how did Genius really make his money. Some sources say that Ginimbi was using juju, while other sources say that no, Ginimbi was a hardworking man. Genius Kadungure Ginimbi, who breathed his last at the age of 36, has caused a lot of buzz around town and around the world as to how did he make his wealth. Some people estimate that his mansion in Dombo Shower, which is about 30 kilometers outside Harare, they say that that mansion could easily be rated at 1 million US dollars. The young man loved his dress. He enjoyed expensive brands such as Versace, Dolce, Gabbana, Gucci, and many others. When it comes to cars, he was the master of expensive cars, luxurious cars. Range Rovers were not some of the brands that you would really talk about. Bentley was not something that was uncommon to him. Ferrari, you can name them all. You know, he had Ferrari, he had two Rolls Royces, and many other expensive vehicles. And when he passed on, as the entourage was carrying his body from the funeral parlor, you could see a lot of Ferraris, one after the other, as his friends were showing off and, bidding him farewell. Even as he was buried, it is believed that his coffin was a Versace, which cost almost $1 million. Now, some people say Ginimbi must have been in the occult, while others say, hey, no, Ginimbi was a working hard businessman. Now, the Sunday Mail tracked Kadungure's close business associates to talk to them and ask how Ginimbi really made his money, how the master of champagne made his money. One of the people that has spoken is Brian Nyanyiwa, who met Ginimbi around the year 2000. Nyanyiwa is one of the shareholders in one of Kadungure's companies. It is said that with very little formal education, Ginimbi was more of a self-taught businessman. He was good at identifying opportunities and also maximizing on them. His friends say even at an early age, he had a hunger for success. And he became one of the first car dealers, since he fashioned out toy cars from wire mesh and sold them to his peers. Genius was always business-minded, and as he was inspired by his late mother, Mai Kadungure, who would spend several days on a bus traveling to South Africa as a cross-border trader. As you may well know, cross-border trading is not easy, it's tough, it's harsh. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of patience. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you make money, sometimes you can have malaria, you can have all kinds of things. There are risks of accidents and so on. So the mother to Genius Kadungure was a businesswoman, and to a certain extent she rubbed off this entrepreneurial spirit into her son. Actually, a Genius used to mention that he was inspired by his mother, who was a soldier. This woman was a hero because she would travel and do business as a cross-border trader, even though she was not that educated and she was a woman. So this inspired a genius to always desire to do more. Now, how did genius go into gas? There are quite a number of theories around that. Of course, some people say that genius had a friend who worked for an Angolan firm who introduced him to, wealthy people in the gas sector. But some people also say that genius would visit a friend's family who was rich around the early 2000s, and he was modeling on them, learning from them how they were doing business. For him, genius was sharing a room in Sunningdale 1 of the not so rich suburbs in Harare. So he was near at Benny, where the family of his friends were staying. So he would go there to benchmark on how they were doing business. And around that time, Ginimbi did not have money, but he was energetic and talkative. And he was about 17 years old then. And sometimes he would borrow a BM7 series from his friends so that he can show around. And as he was still trying to scout around for ideas, it was also said, remember around 2000, that's the time when farms were being taken over in Zimbabwe. And Ginimbi and his friends heard that there were some whites who were leaving their gas cylinders, which they were using at the farms. So Ginimbi and his friends, they decided to start collecting those gas cylinders and begin to sell them. So they visited a number of farms, collecting the gas cylinders and putting them in a pickup truck for resale in Harare. And they were getting how much percent? About 100% profit from the gas sales to individuals and restaurants. So during that time, 3 major multinational oil and gas companies stopped importing liquid petroleum gas, largely because their clients, the white farmers, were moving out of the chicken farming business. And this created a shortage of gas in Zimbabwe. That's when genius traveled to Francistown, Botswana to source the product. He only had an idea and knowledge of where to source the gas, but without the necessary capital. The budding entrepreneur approached his uncles for a loan to kickstart the business of importing gas from Botswana for resale in Harare. This reportedly marked the birth of pioneer gas. It is believed that there were quick returns since there was a huge demand for gas. From the earnings, Ginimbi then bought a single cab Isuzu truck, which he used to transport gas cylinders. It is also said that the car would always break down, and since the friend was familiar with vehicles, he became a mini mechanic, helping Ginimbi to fix the truck. Another thing that Ginimbi liked from an early age was that he loved music and he loved fun. So he would attend Alec Macheso's shows, and he would obviously love to drink his beer, and he loved dancing to Borodale dance. The gas business was booming. Not many people were in that business. Very few black people were involved in the gas business. So Ginimbi found himself moving from Sunningdale to Greendale, a low-density suburb. Things were beginning to look good for him. Then Ginimbi and his friend, they approached the large oil for gas storage facilities and quickly doubled their imports to 42 tons per week. This meant that they were making about $50,000 per week from gas sales. So life began to change for the better. Ginimbi then attended a local car auction where he outbid big businessmen to buy a 2-door red BM3 series. This drew a lot of attention from many people, and you know that Ginimbi loved drawing attention from people. But it seems indeed Ginimbi had worked for this. He was actually a hard worker. He had an entrepreneurial spirit, and he knew what he was trying to achieve. Now, what did Ginimbi do to boost the gas business? He approached an equally flashy businessman, Mr. Philip Chiangwa, who organized a bank loan for him from a top financial institution. So one of the things we can definitely learn, apart from having an entrepreneurial spirit, another very important thing we can learn from Ginimbi is that if you want to make it big in life, you are not going to make it alone. You need other people. We see Ginimbi collaborating with a number of people. We see him partnering with a number of people. We see him getting advice from some people. We see him having role models that would take him to the next level. And that's what we need to do if we are going to make money and become successful. That's why some people are saying, okay, if you say Ginimbi made money from juju, if you say Ginimbi made money from snakes, why don't you go and get a snake for yourself or two? Why don't you get juju as well? Because we know some people who have juju, but they are poor. We know some people who have snakes, but they are very poor. We know some people who have got all kinds of those things and they are still poor. So the fact that you have juju or you even sell it to others does not necessarily make you rich. The same way that you might be a prayer warrior, if we are looking at on the other side, maybe you are actually a prayer warrior or you are a good preacher, you are very close to God. That does not necessarily mean that you are going to be rich. You get the point? So let's face the facts. If you are going to make it in life, you have to put in the effort. You must be willing to pay the price. We see Ginimbi paid the price for him to be a successful businessman. As for whether he used the juju or not, we don't know. As for whether he did some corrupt practices, we don't know. But what we can be sure about is we can learn something from Ginimbi. He was a hard worker. He was a man with a vision. He was a high risk taker. He was a man who was willing to go the extra mile. See, he moved from Zimbabwe to Botswana. That's in the early 2000s. Some people would never leave their village or their town or their country for any reason. But we see some people taking risks from their country to another country, from their continent to another continent in search of opportunities. And this is what we saw in Ginimbi. He was willing to go all out. How willing are you to go all out so that you can open opportunities for yourself? How willing are you to partner with other people? How willing are you to network? As they say, your network determines your net worth. How is your network? Who are the people you know who can help you? Even in terms of funding, we see his angles actually funding his business. Who are those people around you that could actually fund your idea and make you successful? Right? So after Chiangwa, linked Ginimbi to a top financial institution, he got a loan there as well. So Pioneer Gas then moved from 42 tons per week to 60 tons, and the company bought 3 storage tanks from a South African businessman. At the time, the gas company had a staff complement of 30 employees and rented a 3-story building in Granite Side. Now, if you are aware of what Ginimbi was doing, so imagine they had 30 employees, but by the time Ginimbi passed on, he had over 300 employees across his group of companies. Between 2007 and 2008, Ginimbi and 4 of his friends, including Brian Nyanyua, then began a side hustle of importing SIM cards from South Africa for 100 Rand for resale at $100, $100 US. They would rotate to catch daily flights to bring in 1,000 SIM cards daily. You see Ginimbi collaborating with other people to run a business. Many people will never make it in business because they want to do it alone. They think business is a one-man band. So as much as we hear that Ginimbi was rich, Ginimbi was splashing money and so on, we fail to realize the number of collaborations, the number of partnerships, the number of times that Ginimbi would work with other people to make himself successful. You can learn that if you're an entrepreneur. And the money continued rolling in. At that time, around 2009, Ginimbi moved from Greendale to Greystone Park, and even, bigger, low-density area, and bought a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. The following year, an opportunity arose in Botswana where Pula Energy had begun to struggle. Again, sensing another opportunity, Ginimbi partnered with two prominent businesswomen who poured in 250,000 US dollars, while the youthful businessman weighed in with 50,000 US dollars. So do you see that? He partnered again with two prominent businesswomen, bringing in 250,000 US dollars, and he puts in $50,000, and that becomes $300,000. You can't do much alone. But also you can see he was a man who was seeking for information. How did he know he was staying in Zimbabwe? How did he know that in Botswana, Pula Energy was struggling? And then he wanted to do something there. Pula Energy was subsequently bought for $1 million or 10 million Pula, and it was christened the Quick Gases. Genius then headed Pula Energy while Nyanyiwa was in charge of Pioneer Gas in Zimbabwe. It is believed that another guy was in charge of sourcing gas from South Africa under Pico Trading. Reveling in newfound success, the cash-flushed Ginimbi then splurged on a palatial home in Pakalane, a Gulf estate in Gaborone. Pakalane is one of the most exclusive places to stay for the rich. It is at that time that sophisticated hustler then introduced Ginimbi to fine whisk, champagne, nice clothes, and women. The gas business reportedly grew in leaps and bounds in 4 countries: Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, and South Africa. In 2015, Ginimbi then got another opportunity to supply diesel to big mining companies in Botswana and South Africa. The friends say the flamboyant businessman moved his focus from gas to diesel, and he shifted base from Botswana to South Africa, where he built a fleet of 40,000 liter fuel tankers. 40,000 liter fuel tankers. I remember hearing Ginimbi saying that one of the reasons why he was starting to pull out of gas is that everybody was now in gas. Yet initially he was one of the first black people to enter into the gas industry. So he imported the fuel from Mozambique for sale in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Botswana. This was a huge lucrative deal, never remained the same for Ginimbi. He then started buying brand new cars, any nice car you can think of. All right, so from gas to petroleum, Ginimbi then ventured into showbiz through G Entertainment, which ran Sankai, now known as Dreams nightclub. While he was a hard worker, Ginimbi partied hard, and it affected his business since he would party all night and then sleep in the afternoon during working hours. Some of his workers got frustrated and resigned to start other flourishing gas companies. Apart from amassing wealth, floundered through flashy cars, his friends say he invested in real estate in a multi-million-dollar holiday mansion in the United Arab Emirates city of Dubai and in the plush Pakalane Golf Estate in Gaborone, Botswana. So Genius worked extremely hard and played extremely hard, for the 20 years that he later passed on. Highly innovative, highly creative, highly ambitious, highly daring, highly collaborating. That was genius for you. Now, as much as many people will still argue that juju is the reason why Ginimbi was making it, everybody has a right to their opinion. Others will also continue to say that Ginimbi was a fraudster. Everybody has a right to their opinion. But I believe that if you want to be successful in life, you can learn from everybody. You can learn from anybody. One of the things we can definitely learn from Ginimbi is that if you want success, you must be hardworking. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you really want success, you must network. Network with people that can move you to the next level. Of course, number 3, you must be daring, be ambitious, know what you want, have your vision, follow your vision. Number 4, it's okay also when you have made your money, enjoy some of it, because you never know when you are going to go. As for whether he enjoyed his money well or not, that's not for me to judge, it's for you to judge. But what I'm saying is, you don't want to continue amassing wealth and you don't even enjoy it once. You don't even, you don't eat your best meal out of your money. right? You see, he died at the age of 36. Probably everybody expected him to live much longer than that. And you know, he was a strong man physically. He was a guy who was going to the gym and so on. But he decided to enjoy his money. Of course, I think one other lesson that we could learn from him is that when you flaunt, this one is on the negative now. When you flaunt your wealth, you are definitely going to attract a lot of enemies. He attracted a lot of friends, but at the same time, by flaunting his wealth, by letting people know about his money, he also made a mistake there, and you are bound to get some enemies because many people are enemies of progress. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment. Bye.